Good morning and welcome to the commission meeting for August 27th, 2024. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we'll note for the record that we do have a quorum of members present. We do not have Commissioner Benega at today's meeting. Before I get started, just silent your cell phone, avoid the embarrassment, and if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'm going to look for a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any member of the public that would like to comment on the consent agenda? Any commissioner that would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, I'm going to note for the record that Commissioner Bender has recused herself from the consent agenda. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Lineberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to regular business. If there's anybody that from the public that's going to be here to comment on any agenda item or public comment at the end, I'm just going to ask that you sign in. First agenda item is consider bid results and award recommendation for the purchase of a side dump trailer and authorize chair to sign a purchase agreement with DMI Incorporated. Mr. Groen.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Groen, Highway Superintendent. Earlier this year, we opened bids for a side dump trailer and the commission approved the purchase of one. Originally, we were going to purchase two this year, but because we had issue with a skid loader, we were planning on deferring one purchase. However, as it goes, when you have two old trailers and you pick which one you sell, you make your best estimate on which one is going to last the longest. And unfortunately, the one we kept has failed its DOT inspection. Our revenues and our sale of equipment is much higher than budgeted this year, so we're looking for your permission to go ahead and purchase that second side dump trailer this year so that we can surplus and sell our 2004 Trail King side dump.
All right, public comment on this agenda item. Commission comments or action?
If I may.
Commissioner Bender.
So Steve, just to be clear, you don't think you'd need any budget supplement? You think you can handle this purchase with your existing revenues?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Bender, yes, I've talked with the auditor's office. We've gone through our numbers this year and we're fairly confident that we can cover it under our existing budget this year.
Great, thank you.
I'll move approval.
Second?
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Kipley,
Aye.
Bender,
Aye.
Lineberg,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign the transfer agreement with the City of Sioux Falls for the Hartford Radio Tower. Captain Bosman.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Bosman, Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office. This morning in front of you, I have several items related to our First Responders Emergency Radio Communication Network project. This has been a work in progress as we are making headway to reach the finish line on all of our radio towers that we're putting up in the county to enhance our radio communications network. One of the sites that in question here is a site northeast of Hartford. This is a site that had an existing radio tower owned and operated by Metro Communications for some fire paging equipment that is outdated. That tower was actually blown down in a derecho storm. That was in 2022. Being that the tower is blown down, there was insurance proceeds awarded to Metro Communications, which has then been absolved by the City of Sioux Falls. And so now this site that we are going to be utilizing for our county radio tower is able to be using that insurance proceeds with the agreement with the City of Sioux Falls that we have here today. The agreement is to allow this county to use the approximately $95,000 of insurance proceeds towards the construction of our replacement radio tower. We've already started site work on this location with the equipment shelter on the ground. Civil utilities already are being connected. And so this agreement then would transfer the insurance proceeds to the county for the use of replacing the tower. We have an existing land agreement already with the landowners for this site, so we are excited that this next step would allow us then to actually put up a tower that is needed for our antennas to go on.
All right. Public comment on this agenda item. Commission discussion action. Commissioner Bleinberg.
Thank you. It sounds like you're ready to start with the work for the new tower. Has the old tower been removed? Do we still have to make a plan for that?
Yep, so the old tower has been removed. Actually, graciously, the county highway department was kind enough to go out and remove the tower shortly after the storm and kind of clear the area, so that way it was not an eyesore or something that was in the way for the agricultural farmers in the area. So it was very helpful of their support for that.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Bender.
So I know we've talked about these towers for maybe a couple years now, and I'm just wondering if you could just give us a brief reminder of just kind of the overall plan of what is going, because there's going to be several items today that are all kind of related to this master communications plan. Could you just give us a 30-second reminder on where we're going and what we're trying to accomplish overall?
Yes, absolutely. So right now, our radio towers that we have on the state radio system in the county, there's two of them. There's one by Wall Lake, and then there's one northeast of Baltic. Those are the only two state radio towers that we have in rural Minnehaha County, outside of the city limits of Sioux Falls. Those have been adequate enough for our car radios, but what happens is when our officers and firefighters and deputies and ambulance personnel get out of their rigs and go to their portable radio, those do not have as much signal strength or power, and so the lack of coverage with those two towers by themselves is not sufficient, and we were having issues, especially in the far eastern and far northwestern regions of Minnehaha County, where Metro Communications is not staying in contact with our officers. They're checking their status. They're not able to answer because their radios are not connecting to a tower. They're too far away. There's not enough signal. We were relying on cell phones, or we dispatch backup deputies to calls just because they're not answering status checks. Unnecessary deployment of resources. Our dispatchers, that could be worrisome for them too, of why is this officer not answering a status check on a traffic stop, all just because maybe their radio wasn't able to connect. So with the gracious allowance of the ARPA funds from the county commission, we are expanding our radio network coverage in the county by adding 5 additional tower sites that is going to talk to each other and create more of a mesh network system. So that way, if one tower starts losing signal, the other one will pick up the slack, and so it would cover the gaps in our northwestern, western, and far eastern regions of Minnehaha County.
So just to follow up, so you're relatively confident that once we complete the entire project that you just described, that we won't have a lot of dead spots where people aren't able to communicate?
That's correct, yes. Being's in communication with these towns as well, because we have agreements with Garrettson for their site there that we have a tower going up, the city of Colton on their water tower. Every town that I go to, the fire departments are in complete step with us in unison of saying that they are fully 100% supportive of this project, waiting for it. They agree as well too of the complications and challenges that they face and see with some lower portable signal radio coverage.
Okay, thank you.
If I may kind of tie the whole county, city, metro communications blend into this, because at one point we're basically transferring ownership of these towers to the city, even though they're in the county, but it's because Metro is no longer an independent body. It's now under the auspices of the city's fire department. Is that all part of this?
It is, yes. So when Metro Communications was its own entity, it was mainly the primary communications equipment management source. So they were the ones that were managing and maintaining a lot of these towers. But as they have aged out and as the Metro is now under the city, in conjunction with them seeing that the county is expanding our infrastructure, Metro is still a strong partner, and they will be a partner with us on our towers as well, as far as the maintenance checks, the software updates and agreements. So Metro is not getting out of the tower business whatsoever. That was something that they're very clear on, and we appreciate that support. But it is one of those things of that there is some building of towers with county money on city property that gets a little clarifying needs. And so the agreements that are in place to sit there and make sure that we have the transfer agreements, that we are building our equipment on our property needs to be in place.
Yeah, and I think that's important for the public to know and understand, is that even though Metro as a independent body outside of the county and the city, even though it's under the city now, there are the checks and balances for the rural residents that, oh, we have to worry about what the city's going to do with, rural fire or rural ambulance, that we do have those checks and balances within the governing body to make sure that everybody's well represented.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, okay. Commissioner Bleinberg.
I just wanted to make a point too that Commissioner Kipley and I kind of came into the commission after some of this ARPA allocation discussion had already taken place. And so just a kudos and thank you to the previous commission for, I think, wise allocation of those funds in a very worthy manner that is a benefit to everybody in the community and for first responder safety and communication. I think I appreciate that very much.
All right. Look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion a second, call the roll.
Blindberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Bender,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign the transfer agreement with the city of Sioux Falls for the West Baltic Radio Tower. Exact same thing, just different location.
Different location, yes. So this site is west of Baltic, west of the interstate. This is a site that was formerly owned by Metro Communications, again, for some old paging equipment. They at one point relinquished it to the city of Sioux Falls, who has been using it for their water division. They have one antenna on it that is used for communication of their water wells. It is exactly in the path of where we could connect all of our towers, so this was identified as a prime location for our emergency first responder communication site. The tower that is up there now is the original tower and has very much aged, and so when we look at the structural analysis to make sure that we're putting expensive equipment on these towers and expensive equipment on the ground, is will the tower support it in the event of like another strong storm? And we want to make sure that it does, but this tower is aged and is not appropriate to do so. So the recommendation is to replace the tower that is a guide wide tower, which means it's got the cables coming down off the side, to replace it with a 150-foot monopole, which is just a single straight up and down pole that you could still mount your antennas onto. The land is currently owned by the city of Sioux Falls, and as with this agreement, they have gone through their ordinance changes and readings to transfer said property to Minnehaha County, thus allowing us to proceed with putting up that new 150-foot monopole tower. Again, a collaboration of efforts and a show of appreciation with this transfer here too, and the city of Sioux Falls would still like to keep some water tower antennas on it. They've agreed also in this to cover half of the cost of this 150-foot monopole tower. The tower is approximately $100,000, and so the city is authorized in this agreement to cover up to $50,000 for that cost in exchange for non-exclusive space on this tower.
All right, public comment on this agenda item. Can you bring up the photo of the tower itself?
I might have one attached
Not
there.
that one, but the next one. That one.
Yes.
What's all the tape on the ground? I mean, is this going to be fenced in somehow, or what's that
There
about?
will be fencing originally. So this was a old, original photo tape taken. I'm not sure exactly what the tape was. That was not something that was done when we started working on this site. That was already existing. It could be there's a farmstead just to the south of it. If maybe he had some horses kind of walking around the area, that was to keep his horses from going in there. We are plans in our agreements to have fencing around here too.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments, action?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion is second, call the roll.
Bender,
Aye.
Blindberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign the proposal from Sabre Industries to construct a radio tower near Hartford.
This proposal here is from Sabre Industries, which is the South Dakota Contracted Award vendor for monopole towers. We've worked with them is the approximate, or I should say, the specific needs of our antennas and brackets and boltings and foundation, everything that comes into constructing a tower for the Hartford site. The proposal comes in at $100,414. Again, this would be the site that we have approximately $95,000 of insurance proceeds to apply towards the cost of that proposal. And with this signature, this proposal, then we can get Sabre to start working on the foundation, pouring the concrete while the ground is still soft before we hit winter season and they can put up the tower.
All right. Public comment on this agenda item. Commission action. I have a question if nobody else does. Looks like a picture of that. Do you have a picture of the structure that's going up there? I think it's the neck. Yeah. Looks like we're really upgrading the structure from a wooden thing to a concrete reinforced.
Yes, yeah, so the new structures are concrete insulated, reinforced. They have heating and cooling. We have some very sensitive, expensive electronic equipment inside of there that we want to ensure longevity and protect. These structures are, as well as towers, are heavily grounded. When you put a large metal stick up in the sky, it seems to attract lightning. And we have to ensure that if it does take those lightning strikes, that we don't fry anything that's inside the building or the antennas. So they're very sophisticated, more than you think, on just a concrete block that's out in those fields. There's a lot that goes into them, but they are much of an upgrade compared to the wooden shed that is strapped down with some wire.
All right. Commission action.
I'll move approval.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign the proposal from Sabre Industries to construct a radio tower near Baltic.
So this is the Baltic site. This is the Sabre Industries proposal for the tower to be take replacement of that 150-foot guide wire. This would be a 150-foot monopole. The cost for this one is approximately $97,670. Again, with this agreement that you recently authorized in conjunction with the City of Sioux Falls, they would be covering half of that cost for this structure. So the plan would be to use the ARPA funds designated towards this project to cover the county's half of this tower, and we can proceed with getting the foundation poured for this replacement tower.
Public comment. All right, scroll to that photo, next one. I like the way you did this with that insert of, nope, go down, keep going. There we go. The contrast
it
of a
shows a little bit-
Menards building, garden shed to what we actually are protecting equipment with, so thank you for that.
Yes.
All right. Other comments, action from the commission?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain. We are now at the opportunity for public comment. Anybody like to address the commission? You have 5 minutes. Unnecessary. All right, moving on to commission liaison reports. Commissioner Blyenberg.
Just looking forward to this evening, the joint city-county meeting to discuss all the different budgets for the two that I have a little bit of interaction with would be the museum and the library. So just as a reminder, we're meeting there this evening.
5 o'clock. Commissioner Bender.
Just a brief mention that we had the construction meeting for the Juvenile Justice Center last Wednesday morning. And if you drive by in 229, you'll see that some of the concrete tilt walls have gone up, and it's at that kind of fun stage of construction where you can actually really see things going up and kind of see the shape of what it's going to look like. And so that's exciting. We have also had relatively good news where we had some initial concern about unexpected conditions underground and the cost that would be associated with that. They ended up being not quite as bad as we thought they were going to be. And so we will be having some discussion coming up about releasing some of the contractor's contingency for that back to the county. So that's good news. And then, just finally, Jamie Gravitt at the down in the JJC has sent out letters to all of our previous partners in that facility who utilize that facility a lot for their juveniles when needed, about what the rates will be starting next year. And they are going up a bit because they are now incorporating the cost of the bond for that construction. And so I know those letters went out last week, and Jamie's invited all of those counties to respond with any questions that they might have, or to come and see the construction underway.
Good news. Commissioner Kipley.
Just a quick update from last night's planning and zoning. No major substantive issues. We had a very brief meeting with the joint meeting with Falls Planning, and then a couple items on our own agenda for Minnehaha County. But the major achievement was we got through the last couple chapters for the comprehensive plan. We're also going to roll out. I'd expect probably to ask Scott Anderson to come give an overview generally to the commission here in the next few weeks, but also setting out, I think he's picked out the first, second, and third Thursdays of November to do public comment, town hall style in Brandon, Del Rapids, and Hartford. So I'll get those dates when those are firmed up and locations. But looking at November to kind of solicit that public feedback on the comprehensive plan, and then with a kind of a timeline that we would adopt that probably in early 2025 based on the public input. So that's planning and zoning. And then Commissioner Karski can chime in here as well, but the two of us just had our liaison meeting with the quarterly meeting with the public defender advisory group, and had some good discussion on a few items. We approved 2 FTEs for more investigators within that office. So we talked a little bit about how those will be used as they start recruiting for that. And then also just kind of had a point, we've had some recent events in the community with homicide or complex legal cases, and just had some discussion around the fact that when we get some of those high profile cases or things that might have multiple defendants, just walked through some of the issues with conflicts cases and how some of those, just watch from a budgetary standpoint, this body having oversight over cases that will then end up going to the private bar for the criminal defense side of things. So that was just some interesting discussion today, but I don't know if you'd add anything, Commissioner Karski?
No, it's still playing out on the multiple defendants and that type of thing when you have homicides and shootings that involve cars full of individuals, how that might play out. So I guess the only other thing I would add is as of July 1st, cases that are closed that occurred in the state correctional facility, the state pen, are going to be paid now by the state, which is not paid for by the county, which is a budget relief for us. So moving forward, as we see things happen, so I guess we're maybe going to have to look for some interpretation in that law. I believe it says that incidents that occur in the state pen, I don't know if that, how that's defined, I guess, if it's strictly inmate on inmate, or maybe goes beyond that scope. So we're going to be having that discussion a little bit more. And maybe a little bit less if the state pen gets built down in Lincoln County. So that's all I got. Commissioner Bleinberg.
2 points I forgot to mention. We're closed. Offices are closed on Monday to observe Labor Day. And then also Jason Gearman sent out an email to the affected townships, I believe. So I don't know if any township supervisors watch our meetings, but that meeting that the state is putting on is tomorrow morning at our Highway County building. And they are going to be there to give a presentation about the FEMA support for flooding. And so any impacted townships, I think, were invited and encouraged to attend.
Always something going on. All righty. We have no executive session, so we move on to non-action commission discussion. I guess I missed an agenda item. Nothing, all right. No executive session, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. for, yeah, a recent 2 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say.